Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Pete Dougherty here at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. You'll notice we are not down on the field like we usually are. As per usual in Vegas, Pete, there's still a party going on down there. And especially after they win only their second game of the season, Raiders defeating the Packers 17-13 here in the desert. Things kind of feel like a desert for the Packers offense right now. Have a hard time finding anything to get going. We saw this team in the first couple of weeks always seem to find a groove in the third quarter. Now, and they did score a touchdown in the third quarter today, though, but, can they keep relying on one or two big drives a game? I mean, is this just part and parcel, though, of a young offense sort of going through growing pains, or are there legitimate concerns here?
Yeah, I think the average points per game it's like 20 or 21.
In the NFL?
Yeah. So, you just got to score a little more than 20. And today, all they needed was more than 17, and they couldn't do it. They're really struggling right now. We're 5 games in, so we're almost, we're not quite at the 1/3 point. They're, Love is struggling. LaFleur is struggling. They miss Aaron. I mean, you knew they would miss Aaron Jones, but they're missing him more than you would have thought, and then that they should. And they've just got to figure out. They've got to do a better job figuring out what Jordan Love does well, what this offense does well, and lean on that more. And they just haven't figured that out yet. LaFleur has not figured that out. I think their game plans to start the games have been lacking. The results are there. Averaging 5 points per first half through 5 games.
So let me go back to this question. Is this part of just a young offense and LaFleur and Love figuring each other out? Or if you're the Packers, do you have concerns about LaFleur's game planning or what Love has shown you or not shown you so far? Or is there still enough there to go, okay, they're going to get there, it's just going to take some time?
I mean, I think it's both. This is what you go through with a young team and the first-year starting quarterback, unless you have a dominant defense like the 49ers did with Brock Purdy. This is one of the things you go through. But it's also, it's a little bit of a red flag that they are struggling, and after, the first couple games were better than the last 3. So, if you're looking for reasons to be down on Matt LaFleur, that's the reason. Now, there is a lot of season to go, and I generally give – I think around the league, it can take up to half a season for a coach to really figure out, his players.
Okay.
On both sides of the ball. Same with the defensive coordinator. So there is, there's still a few games to go with that, but we're starting to get close to the halfway point. And that's what these guys, more than anything, get paid to do, is to figure these things out as the season goes on, because you don't win championships in September and in October. It's how you're playing later in the year that matters a lot. But the weeks are, they're just starting to add up now. So they've got a lot of work and grinding to do to figure this out, or it's going to be a really long season, and they're going to have a very high draft pick.
They get a bye week to head into it and figure it a little bit out, but they kind of had a mini bye coming into this game. They had 10 days against one of the worst teams in the AFC, presumably, and this is what happened today. Let's actually hear a little bit from Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur on what they thought about the quarterback's day specifically.
I think, the one pick that Spillane picked off, he kind of threw it to him. I think he's got to see him and not make that decision. And I think the other two, he was giving his guy a 50-50 op down the field, and their guy made the play. And the other one was a bang-bang play on a deep curl cut. And the corner did a really nice job of squeezing the route, and the ball pops up in the air, and sometimes that's the price of doing business. So, I'm sure there's some things that we'll look at and we could do better. And I think there's some things that I need to do a better job in terms of what we're asking him to do, and try not to put him in a position where he's susceptible to maybe throwing the picks. The second interception was a get back on track situation, and we got to do a better job offensively. It just seems like we put ourselves in those situations quite a bit over the course of the first 5 games of the season. And that's tough to overcome in this league, especially when you have a lot of youth on that side of the ball. And I'm not trying to make excuses for it. We got to do a better job to avoid those situations and really not put ourselves in them.
2 or 3 games, you didn't throw hardly any picks. Anything you can pinpoint, right now, just maybe why that's becoming a little bit more of an issue?
Just decision making with the ball. That one was a very bad read. Obviously, the guy sitting right there threw right to him. The one later in the game that got tipped. The DB made a good play, he broke on it, but still kind of forcing that one in there. Just kind of progress on in the last one. Just trying to make a play to go win the game. But I've got to be better. I've got to take care of the ball. Not taking the ball hurts our team. So, I've got to be better in that area.
Pete, you mentioned Aaron Jones earlier. I think that this was an offense. Our colleague Ryan Wood said this during the game, and I thought it made a lot of sense. This looks like an offense that game planned all week around Aaron Jones and then found out a few hours before the game they weren't going to have Aaron Jones. And it seemed, from what we were seeing coming out of the Packers, that they really thought they were going to have him today. And that, maybe it was a trainer's call, seemed to be a trainer's call, that he was not allowed to go. We saw the cruel side of this business too come about as a result, with Aaron Jones not being able to go. The Packers needed Patrick Taylor. Patrick Taylor is out of practice squad elevations, so they had to put him on the active roster. They meant they had to clear a spot. They cut linebacker Justin Hollins. They did that after they were already in Vegas. I thought they would have put him on a plane and sent him home, but he was in the locker room after the game talking to Mark Murphy.
Yeah, it's easier to ride home with the team, and there's probably a really good chance that they'll sign into the practice squad now.
Yeah, if he clears waivers.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting, because that's how they
And maybe
got
he won't
him.
clear waivers, I don't know.
Right. That's how they got him in November of 2022. Was the Rams cut him and the Packers picked him up off waivers. So we shall see. They need him kind of after today, or depending on what Quay Walker's knee injury is going to look like. Devondre Campbell was not in this game. Quay Walker left in the first half with a knee injury. Justin Hollins had been cut earlier in the day, so they had to ride with Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson for the remainder of the game. Defense, though, was really not the issue here, and we're gonna get to the defense. Let's go back to Aaron Jones. That was a long loop around to get back to Aaron Jones. We saw A.J. Dillon play arguably one of his better games of the season. What was his final numbers? Do you have a book there?
I do.
And
not probably. I think this is unequivocally his best game of the season. 20 for 76, 3.8 yard average, 11-yard long run, 1 touchdown.
And his touchdown. Can this offense continue to churn, though, without Aaron Jones, or do they have to have him back? Is he the cog with how this is going to turn?
I mean, he's their best guy on that side of the ball. And there's obviously so much better with him. They have not been able to run the offense I'm sure that they were hoping to, where you had Jones playing a lot and running a lot, and then you had Dillon as the number 2 running a fair amount, and trying to take a lot of pressure off Jordan Love. Love has to go out and win them games, and he hasn't been able to do it. Jones played in that first game, so basically in the last 4, Love has had to do more to win them, and they're 1-3 in those games.
Yeah, that's asking a lot of a rookie, or he's not a rookie.
First year
that's asking
starter,
a lot of a quarterback in his first year as a starter, surrounded by a bunch of rookies. That being said, this offense still has had trouble starting fast. Let's actually hear from some of the guys in the locker room on what they think the issue is there, and more importantly, the answer.
Definitely trying. Trying isn't enough. We have to just find a way to execute better and stop trying and start doing. And like I kind of said right there, I think our number was called in some crucial situations, and I didn't make the play. I got to find a way to track it a little bit quicker so I can adjust to it a little bit quicker. When Sentinel calls my number, I need to be able to have them be able to rely on me a little bit more.
As we said, Pete, a first-year starting quarterback, a lot of rookies on this. Is a very, very young offense. Jair Alexander, bless him, just said what was on his mind after today's game, and he was careful to not throw anyone under the bus, but he was very realistic. And he said, I think it's obvious at this point that the defense is going to be the ones that have to score touchdowns. This is a young offense that is still finding their mojo, so the defense are going to have to be the ones to score and keep them from scoring. this is a older defense, 8 first-rounders. Is that how this is going to have to go for a while?
I mean, this is not the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, it's just not. Even if they end up being a top 10 defense this year, they're just not nearly as dominant as the 49ers.
You are.
But the 49ers are the best. But so it's, your defense you can't count on your defense to score you points besides getting stops. They just have to figure this out on offense. They've got to figure out what Love does. LaFleur's got to figure out better what Love does well. I think their offensive line is only playing okay, right now. So they need to play better there. And they need to figure out Jordan Love's got to grow over the next, couple months. I mean, we knew it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And so he's got to weather the storm, and they've got to hope that he gets better and he does not force him passes 6 weeks from now, and that they're putting up more than 13 points.
I mean, this defense did hold this team to 17. This Raiders team to 17 points.
That should win you a game.
1 touchdown. Could have been a few more points. Daniel Carlson uncharacteristically missed 2 kicks. However, one of those was blocked by Josh Hyman, and the other was a 52-yarder, which is within his range, but that's still a long field goal. So you credit the defense for, keeping them held to a 52-yard field goal attempt. If you're the Packers, are you concerned about the defense outside of lining up Preston Smith against Devontae Adams in the slide?
You're not concerned about the performance this week, no. You're still concerned about it going forward. I mean, the Raiders are just, they're not a very good team. Jimmy Garoppolo, his limitations were obvious tonight. So it's still a concern with their difficulties stopping the run. They did a lot of things to try to stop the run. They brought their safety up a lot, but they did some run blitzes, early down run blitzes, and it worked. It worked pretty well, but those things can leave you vulnerable to the passing game too. And better quarterbacks and better opponents are going to take more advantage of that. Or if they back off, then they'll just run it down their throat like they did for the first, 5 weeks.
This was also the first time this season I've seen a tight end really take advantage of some holes in the defense because, they are strong up front. There was no one there in that second level to kind of take care of that tight end. That might also have a lot to do with no Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker being out for the second half. But we saw Michael Mayer, someone that, a lot of us had kind of targeted as possibly a Packers draft pick, take advantage of this team in the first half. Let's actually hear from some of the guys in the locker room on defense on kind of where their head is at when they hold a team to 17 points and walk away with a loss.
I think at this point it's pretty obvious that the defense has to not give up any touchdowns, I think that's the part of being self-critical of our defense because, the offense is pretty young, and they're still figuring out their mojo. So, the defense, we gotta be the ones to score and stop them from scoring.
I was gonna win. You get a stop, they go score, they can't. It's like, all right, you get another stop. It's like, damn, it's destined for us to win. We just gotta win it. You know what I'm saying? We can do it. But again, it's probably my fault. I probably could have had a pick for me to play out. I messed up on. So if I probably make that probably take 7 points off the board. I think they scored later that drive. So I just gotta make that play.
I mean, it's always plays, where you can be better, and it's always plays where could tilt the game or whatever. Like I said earlier, we gotta just be more consistent. Proud about how we played and how we fought. Gave up 17. So I mean, good job there. But at the end of the day, we still got to find that consistency. Because some of those plays shouldn't have been as big as they were, or they was just big plays. You know what I'm saying? So got to just fix it.
Final thing, Pete. Rasul Douglas said, "Now we got to go back tomorrow. And Matt's going to be up our. I'm not going to use this word on our website or explicitive. He's going to be up our expletive. That's what I was trying to say. And now we've got 13 days to be mad about this. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to have a bye after a loss?
Probably bad. Some time to work on it, to self-scout these things. And then he set us aside right after that. I thought we had that, with the mini bye. So maybe it won't do him any good, but it'll give him a chance. It'll give the coaching staff a chance to do a lot of work. The players aren't going to stew for 2 weeks. I mean, after a couple days, this game will be in the rearview mirror. When you play 17 games, it's a lot of games.
Right.
I don't think it'll linger that long.
Yeah, that's what Jair Alexander said. We just got to flush it and move on. He also made an interesting comment I thought about, like, I can do that and care enough to do that, and maybe wonder if maybe that's the consensus across the locker room or not. We do head into a bye now, and then to Denver, where presumably that would almost feel like a tune-up game, but who's to say in this league any given Sunday?
I don't know who I'm going to pick in that game right now, because with the way that offense looked today and last week, I mean, this could be just what the doctor ordered for the Denver Broncos.
Right. Which team ends up at the midpoint being the other team's homecoming, like other teams in the league homecoming game?
Yeah.
That's going to be a good question. Although, to be fair, the caveat there is one team has a first-year starting quarterback and the other team has a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So something to take into account. We will have full coverage for you from Las Vegas. Sounds like the party is still raging behind us, but winding down there on the field. So we're going to wrap up our coverage here for you. Pete, you have a column coming?
I do.
And then you have your column with Eric as well, kind of breaking down the film. So keep a lookout for that. And as I said, we will have full coverage for you from Las Vegas, breaking down the Packers' 17-13 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we're going to try to maybe slip away for a few days. Who's to say?
There's no such thing as a bad time to the bye.
Exactly. But something, knock on wood, will inevitably happen. In the meantime, stay tuned to PackersNews.com for full coverage of this game and other news as the Packers head into the bye week. Thanks, guys.